My name is Staff Sergeant Caitlin Gambles. I have been in the military now for 17 years. I am a single mom with 2 kids, and I live in Nashville, but I'm stationed at Fort Knox. Our nonprofit organization lies within its multifaceted approach to supporting veterans who may have been negatively affected by life's events. Our organization will not just support our veterans, but also members of the community that may just need a helping hand. And our partnerships with local businesses will allow us to do that. That may be some roof materials for a roof leak, it may be food donation boxes, it may be allowing them to sit down with a VA rep and set up for their disability, maybe obtaining documentation. We don't just have one list of services that we will provide. As our organization and reputation grows, we hope that the amount of veterans and members of the community willing to come forward for help will too. So I'll tell you a little bit about our first big project that we're working on. I first encountered this gentleman on Thanksgiving. We had some volunteers pitch in and everybody cooked this huge Thanksgiving dinner. And we had a list that if members of the community knew someone who wasn't gonna get Thanksgiving dinner, we drove around and provided them with dinner. So we get to this address, and it was actually hard to tell that there was even a house there. Lawn so overgrown. A gentleman comes out, and we're talking about multiple generations in one household. He comes out, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? You trying to take my dogs?" I was like, "No, sir, like we're just bringing you some dinner." And I could tell just how much that meant. So I promised myself, you know, this guy reminds you of your grandpa. You need to check up on him, because there might not be somebody checking up on him. So when I was in town again, I went by to see him, and lawn in worse condition than it was before, and he had just had his dogs removed from him and just lost his life partner of over 40 years and has 2 children with substance abuse problems. So, you know, you take somebody who has multiple incomes and a partner, and you take everything away from him. You know, you take his income away, you take his partner away, and he's left in this depressed state dealing with all of this on his own. So I said, you know, I'm gonna be in town tomorrow. Would you mind if I came and brought some help and helped you out with this yard? And so that's what I did. I brought some help, and we worked for 7 hours, and the thankfulness that I could see on his face, it warmed my heart. And to see this man who's out here, you know, probably 75, 80 years old, out here cutting trees down, working right beside me, that tells me that it's not the reasons that people think, oh wow, you know, that eyesore across the street. He just needed a little help. So that's what we're here for. We hope to, you know, veterans is obviously our priority, but we want to bring the unity back to the community, hence the community unity. So we want people to be able to feel confident and comfortable reaching out to us. With your support and your donations, we would like to raise $100,000 to purchase the former Allsboro Junior High School in Cherokee, Alabama. The school was built in 1937 by President Roosevelt's New Deal grant and closed down in 1982. With this $100,000, it will allow us the purchase of the property and the acreage, along with the funds to renovate the property so that we can keep it in its original historic context. Our property location is crucial to what we're trying to do here. With us being right on the border of Alabama and Mississippi, which are the 2 leading states for displaced veterans, from 2017 to 18 alone, and this is before COVID, in Alabama during that year, displaced veterans grew over 26%. In Mississippi, over 79% in 1 year. Our location means that we'll be able to provide services for both sides of the border, and not just Mississippi and Alabama, but we want to be nationwide. If there's a veteran in your community, we want to know that you would reach out to us, and one way or another, we can make sure that that veteran gets transported to our location. Aside from veterans services, we will also work with Mississippi State to provide low-cost veterinary care and spay and neuter clinics for marginalized people that might not be able to get to a veterinarian clinic or might not be able to afford a veterinarian bill. With our 5 acres, we'll have the ability and the space to work with Lauderdale and Colbert County animal shelters to provide a secondary location for those animals that they encounter that may be recovering from an injury or pregnant and just can't stay in a shelter. Back when the school was built, it was actually a tornado shelter for the local community. It still has the original tornado siren, so we intend on making sure that is up and running so that we can be a safe haven for the local community when a tornado comes through. Getting the word out, making sure that people know who we are, what we're doing, where to find us is crucial. We want local and nationwide businesses to feel comfortable and confident reaching out to us to support, whether that support is in the form of donations, volunteers, supplies. Any interested parties willing to volunteer their time or any businesses willing to make donations or provide supplies, feel free to reach out to us via email at communityunity360.alabama@gmail.com. We're all about community. There is no community unity without the community. You know, so many people say, you know, that's not a problem. Veterans are not homeless. People think like, oh, every veteran has their stuff together. But the reality is 98% of veterans will at one point or another experience homelessness. And out of that 98%, 30% of those will experience chronic homelessness. Think about that. Out of 100 veterans, 98 of them were homeless or are homeless at some point in their life. And, you know, we're trained in the military like to be strong and independent and, you know, not accept defeat. It's kind of hard to reach out for help with that mindset. You know, and those people are right. It's not a problem. It's a pandemic. I'll tell my story. I personally, last year, was almost displaced. While I was on military duty, I was in a nearly fatal car accident. And, you know, going from being a single mom, working 4 jobs, you know, on the go, able to do anything, to not being able to work at all, having to have major surgery, being on crutches, not being able to drive my kids anywhere or even pick them up from the bus stop. Luckily, I had a small support system, but it's still mentally is hard to come back from. You know, it's like a long list of things that you once could do and now can't. And it's hard to deal with that. The problem is very real and should not continue to go untreated. You know, these are our battle buddies. These are men and women with enough selfless service to sign their name on that dotted line and give up certain freedoms of their own life for the greater good, for the fight. That patriotism is real, running through our blood. And some of us with lifelong trauma and injuries, they deserve to be taken care of. With your support and your donations, we'll be able to make a difference in our veterans' lives and our members of the community that we all live in. And I'll leave you with this. Every 22 minutes that you're silent, a service member takes their own life.